Hello everybody! CW here. I was surfing the other day, sitting in the doctor's office, killing time, and I ran across this site. Somebody is doing cartridges, little mini shorts on different calibers, cartridges, and telling a brief history, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and wow, was he misinformed. I'm not going to say who it is. I'm not going to point it out. Not everybody knows everything. It seems really odd that somebody who's going to the trouble of making a video to inform or to teach has so many things wrong with what he's teaching. So many. So I figured, hey, this is something I know really well. Calibers and cartridges and histories and things like that. They just stick in my head for whatever reason. There's things that we're all good at. Some people can remember names, some people can remember dates, some people have a history, some people have science, different things that turn us on, make us click, make us work. And for me, it's firearms. It's something about it. It just sticks. I really like it. I'm a sponge. I cannot get enough information and it stays stuck. So I thought 28 gauge, you don't hear much about it. There's not much written about it. There's a really good article in one of the cartridges of the world, and I've been collecting those for quite a few years and ran across a really good story in there, and it kind of spurred my memory and thinking. And I had this past weekend I had my party for my wife celebration party, and one of my friends came down from New Hampshire, and he brought down a present for me. And he watched my video on the 28 gauge side by side. And I've got a video coming up here in the next few days, next week I think, on the sporting clays match that I shot with that shotgun, 28 gauge. And just a pile of fun. I'm going to make an effort to look for more and do more of these. And anyway, so he came over to visit. We talked on the phone. Like I say, he's down from New Hampshire and he's here for a few days. So we went to lunch, but turned out it was just a hot, nasty day. So we just sat in the living room and chatted for an hour or two. Well, he brought me down a present. Not so much a handoff present. We do things for each other back and forth. And he, like me, he's a bullet caster, but he has kind of gotten away from it a little bit. Doesn't have the time, energy, drive to cast a whole lot anymore. So, it's something I do a lot of. So he said, hey, you cast bullets for me, I'll swap you. So I said, great, that's awesome. He said, I got a few boxes of 28 gauge, and this is all mine, but this is what he brought me. Like, what is it? 8 boxes. So this is awesome. You find it. It's around here. I don't have a problem finding it. It's obviously not as common as 12 gauge or 20 gauge, but it is around. And I was very, very pleased to get such great ammo too. Premier STS Remington is like top shelf stuff. And then a few boxes of Express Long Range, which is very good stuff too. So I figured, why don't I start doing some of these shorts too? The shorts seem to garner a lot of views. People seem to like them. It's a good attractor for your channel to bring viewers in to your real videos, real information. So I thought maybe I would try doing those too. I know I can do them far better justice than this other fella. Because I'm not gonna do a video on something if I don't know about it. Why would I? I mean, there's people out there that know this stuff. You don't want to hear from somebody who doesn't know. So let's start out with this one, the 28 gauge. This is going to be a full video, obviously, not a 60-second short. But I figured we'll start here. I'll tell you about it and see what you think. Make comments. Tell me what you think of my idea of doing shorts on a caliber. Squeeze it into 60 seconds and see how it goes. Not a replacement for videos. Just like I say, just a little snippet of information that can be useful to some people, maybe. And if it goes out well, I get a lot of views on it. I can do a full-fledged video on the cartridge and more in-depth history and firearms and, different stuff it was used for and used with and when it came to be and all that kind of stuff. So let's start with the 28 gauge here. 28 gauge has been around for a long time. It's really no slouch. It's no back seat. Don't look at it like a lot of people do the 410, being that it's such a small gauge and it doesn't have the payload, doesn't have the power, it doesn't have not worthy of consideration. Just a real quick snippet on this one. There's basically three major shooting sports with shotguns, aside from hunting, shooting sports. We've got trap, skeet, and sporting clays. Now there's levels in all of those, especially in trap and skeet. Ways to shoot them, doubles, doubles, handicap, international, all different levels of shooting within each of those three. Shooting skeet, more people have shot their first and continued perfect scores, in other words, no misses, with 28 gauge than any other gauge. It's easy on the shoulder, it patterns well, it's got good power, and it's got the speed. It really, really, really does really well. I don't notice a huge difference between this and even 12 gauge field loads. Obviously 12 gauge is going to give you a lot more shot. It's going to give you far denser, larger pattern, but this provides a really good pattern. And in shotgun shells, it's all about the length of your shot column as to how it spreads and how it patterns and how it works. And the 28 gauge is kind of along the same lines as a 6.5. It's like a perfect size. It just works really well within the parameters that it's needed to work well in. It's just like a perfect storm almost. And there's only 2 3/4 inch shells available. You can find it from most manufacturers who make shotgun shells. Most all of them make 28 gauge. And it starts out at about 5/8 of an ounce of shot. 3/4 is far more common. So you got 5/8, 3/4, 7/8, 15/16, and 1 ounce. Of those, 3/4 and 1 ounce are the two most common. And it's what you're probably going to find. For shot sizes, it's all on the smaller end. I was going to say 6 is the largest, but I did find a couple of boxes of 5s here. High brass, field load 5s. And look at this velocity. This is not even the top velocity, 1205. You can find loads up to 1300. That's cooking along. That's the same as 3.5, 12 gauge, 10 gauge stuff. Pressures this runs at is high shotgun. It's 12,500. Magnum 12 gauge, 10 gauge is 13.5 ish. It absolutely does not take a back seat to the 20 gauge. So many people love the 20 gauge. I started out with the 20 gauge, and it absolutely does not take a back seat to the 20 gauge. It's absolutely every bit as good, and better in a lot of ways because, well, first off, you're able to put it in a smaller gun. So in side-by-sides and over-unders, where they do scale the size of the receiver to the gauge, and it is a gauge, not like the 410 where it's a caliber. It is a gauge. It can be scaled down really small, light, thin, very, very svelte and quick. And it's an awesome, awesome, awesome upland bird gauge. You're going to find it in 9s, 9s, 8s, 7s and a halves, 6s, and the 5s that you saw here. Don't expect to find these regularly. Figure on 6s being the biggest you're going to find. And I do have some upstairs. I forgot to bring them down. I've got some slugs, 28 gauge slugs. Really uncommon. I want to say they are Brennecke's. I'm 99% positive Brennecke made those. And it's more common overseas than it is here in the United States. But there we go. We're talking about 1150, 1180, 1150, 1130 feet per second on light target stuff, up into the 12s, high 11s and 12s, low 12s for the hunting stuff, hunting long range and, you know, these field loads and stuff like that, and up into 13 for some of the specialized sporting clay loads. So there you go. It's one of my favorites. I years ago took my father and my best man. This was just a few years after my wedding, on a pheasant hunt, and it was not a surprise to my best man, my good friend. He knew I was doing this for him, but my father didn't know. So at the time I was videoing with a video camera, most of the hunting stuff I was doing. And I really should convert those over to digital and get some of them on my channel, because there's some interesting stuff. Any event, he didn't know. So I get out there and we're going. He thought he was going to be filming me and Michael shooting. And in reality, I had him shooting. And I handed him my 28 gauge 870 at the time. It was an 870 special field or special lightweight. Yeah, 870 lightweight in 28 gauge. I had just had the barrel back from Briley, and I had screw-in chokes put in it. So it was one of the first times shooting it with the Briley chokes. And he was shooting fine. I mean, he hit everything he shot at. He complimented the gun. He says, wow, he obviously knew it was not a 12 gauge, but he didn't have high hopes when I handed him the shells, you know, and now here's a parcel box, and they're so small. Now this is a mixed box, but you know, they're so small. They're cute little buggers, and these are, again, 2 3/4. There is no 3s. So he's looking at these, saying, "Wow, you know, I don't know." And he hit and killed everything that he drew a bead on, and was really, really impressed with what the cartridge would do. Funny side of it, the other side of it is my friend Michael didn't do so well at all. We backed him up on most all of his shots, and it was really funny to watch, and a lot of, you know, great enjoyment. Something you don't think about, but you know, look around and see if you got a club around you, a sporting club that'll do pheasant hunts, chucker hunts, bobwhite quail. Maybe one of these critters isn't around you, so it might be a first time you have to do it, and you get to take them home and eat them. So it's you know, it's really good, and you get a lot more birds for your hunting day because there's no season limits. You're paying for them, so it doesn't abide by the seasons. So if you buy 10 birds, you take home 10 birds, as long as you can shoot. As long as you can shoot moderately well, and it's a whole lot of fun. Anyway, that was his first experience with a 28, and he couldn't believe it. It's so light on the shoulder, so quick, because it's small and light, thin gun. The 870 28 is a smaller frame. It's the old small frame that they use for the 410s and it was a smaller frame gun. I don't know that today they still even make those, unless there's some kind of a special custom shop offering. But very light, quick pointing, just a feather to carry and on your shoulder, and recoil is very light, yet you're producing velocities the same as the 12 gauge and the 20 gauge. You've got shot columns and shot strings that carry as much payload as a 20 gauge. You know, your 20 gauge regular heavy loads are a 1 ounce. Your regular load is 7/8 of an ounce. So, you know, 3/4 as a regular load, 7/8 and 1 ounce as the heavier loads. You're right there with the same payload as a 20, and you're shooting the same velocities. You know, this is a max dram. To say drams in a lot of these, 2 1/4 drams. Now, I don't know if you know what drams are, but drams are an old powder measurement from black powder days. They really don't equate anything to smokeless, except that people who are in the know and been around this a long time know, you know, a 2 dram load is a lighter load. 2 1/4, you're starting to get up there, 2.5, 3 drams, 4 drams in some of the big 12 gauge loads. That's a lot of powder, and that's going to produce some serious velocities. Now, you know, what I like to tell people when they talk about, say, 410, you know, 410, it's got no power, it's no nothing. Tell me how a number 4 shot from a 410 knows any different when it's traveling out of the barrel at 1,200 feet per second. How does it know it didn't come from a 12 gauge at 1200 feet per second or a 410 at 1200 feet per second? Of course, the difference is how many friends it brings to the party. Other than that, the foot-pounds per pellet are absolutely the same. So it's absolutely no less powerful. It just has less friends along for the ride, a less of a shot pattern. But per pellet energy is exactly the same as any other that has the same velocity. So it's something to think about. Anyway, there we go. I don't want to make this too awful long. We're about 15 minutes now. But let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm going to put this video up quick. This Friday, we're going to talk about this. I'm going to post this. I'm going to try and post this on Friday, but we'll see how it goes. And I'll get it up before Friday, so that you'll have something to wet your whistle. We're going to talk about shotgun sporting, skeet, trap, and sporting clays. We're hoping to get Hillbilly there early, and we're hoping to get him in on the talking, because this is something that he does a lot of. I haven't done it a lot. I used to shoot trap all the time, every single weekend. I used to shoot skeet fairly regularly. Sporting clays was newer, but my club at the time put a course in, and I shot it probably a dozen times. And there's a course here just the next town over, 15 minutes away, that does them pretty regularly through the summertime. And that's the one I shot last week or 2 weeks ago. So that video will be up soon, and I hope you enjoy it. So tune in Friday night, Georgia Shooting Connection channel at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to talk about shotgun shooting sports, and we'll touch on the gauges, because they're all a big part of it. 12 gauge dominates, but there's disciplines for every other gauge, and some of these sports you can do them, and you're very, very competitive, and it's a lot of fun. So God bless everybody. I hope this was enjoyable, and please make a comment. Let me know what you want to see, and if you like the idea of doing the shorts on calibers and gauges. I think I can do it justice. I know I can do better than the poor fellow that was stumbling over words and giving total wrong information on his shorts, and he's got thousands and thousands of views on those shorts with all that misinformation. So I won't dwell on that. I'm just going to do it better, and see if you want to see that. Let me know. God bless everybody. CW out.